everybody, and welcome to the newest indoor adventure in the Ghosts of Saltmarsh, Tameraut's Fate Part 5. Today is January 30th, 2020, and you are loved. That is a very important thing that we like to say at the beginning of each and every single one of these sessions because we believe it to be true. If this is your first time joining us, consider going to youtube.com/indooradventures where you can catch up on all of the VODs that we have. We also post audiocasts of these games wherever audiocasts are available for free. So consider going to pretty much anywhere except Podbean, and you will be able to catch up on the newest set of games. Other than that, we also have a Patreon set up. So if you would like to help support the show, consider going to patreon.com/indooradventures where you can also gain access not only to our Discord, which is free and available for all in the links down below, or off to the side of chat. You can join us that way. But our Patreon, you also gain access to our after show called Nights in the Courtyard, where we answer questions not only from the community, but also from each other. I greatly enjoy Nights in the Courtyard, so consider supporting us that way. If you already support us in a multitude of ways, consider going then to indooradventure, no S at the end, .redbubble.com, where you can gain access to merch, to some pretty sweet merch. We got mugs, we got posters, we have shower curtains, pants, we got all sorts of stuff, so consider going and checking out our Redbubble shop. Last thing that I will then plug at the beginning of our session. Hey, about a month ago, we ended up hitting close to about 420 followers. Actually, it was 420 exactly, so meme numbers. Which is why we decided that we were going to have a giveaway going on during that time. That giveaway ends tonight. So consider entering into the link off to the side, or if you follow me on Twitter already, consider going and checking out the retweeted link for the giveaway. Because if you win, you could be the new proprietor of a Descent to Avernus Collector's Edition bundle, as well as these fancy dice and map of Avernus that they came out with to go along with it, which is super cool. Or you could possibly win the collector's edition of the Tyranny of Dragons book. It is absolutely beautiful, contains the Horde of Dragons as well as the Rise of Tiamat bound all into one delicious book rather than the two that for some reason they came out with. And on the back, you get some pretty sweet design as well. So this book is gorgeous and will be going to a new home by the end of today. So consider signing up for the giveaway. Other than that, that is it for my spiel. So, hey, Dingo, who are you playing tonight?
I'm Dingo, she, her, and I am playing Hish Sungard, the half-orc fighter, he, him.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy Reeves, he, him, and I am playing Ulman Dark / Ham, who use he, him, and they, them.
Hi! I'm Cyber, he, him. I play Albus, not the Clash Bard, the Simic Hybrid Sorcerer, he, him.
And it's me, it's KyleWithAnN. What up, everybody? I'm playing Jilfa'en Randar, the half-elf cleric of Tharsden. We both use she, her.
And I am the indoor adventurer, he, him, and tonight I shall be your dungeon master. So, last we left off, we didn't actually end up playing last week, so let's do a little bit of a recap. You guys had all ended up being forced to leave the small sleepy town of Saltmarsh, as you had actually gotten fired by your current employer at the time, Acquisitions Incorporated, who said that if they ever saw you along the Sword Coast again, that it would not work out as well as things did the last time, where they simply kicked you out of the town that you lived in. You decided to make your way north to the sleepy fishing village of Lethlung, which was totally not creepy and weird and inhabited by a bunch of individuals who consider Albus to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. along the way, Jill, you ended up having some rather revealing dreams with the god of chains himself, Tharsden, where he ended up giving you a smooch, and in return, you decided to start writing in the journals once again, realizing that breaking the chains is not such a bad thing. If you simply make it so that way no one gets hurt in the initial writing of this, then no one gets hurt after all. Fantastic how that ends up working out. However, upon arriving at this sleepy fishing village after having interrogated Ulman's daughter, Jodariel, throughout the entirety of the trip, Jodariel left you all, and you all ended up absconding from the ship, as giving Albus's 218 proto-Chul children's enough time to also exit out of the ship itself. At the end of last session, Albus, you had called all of the members of Lethlung to the caverns underneath the city to hold a town meeting of sorts, and before you were able to do that, Jill, you had spent some time with a head figure of the village, whose name I believe is Adrian. And you spent some time with Adrian, and not planning on it, but you did make him question his own beliefs just a bit of a fraction, but thankfully he seemed to be doing totally fine by the time that he ended up meeting up with Albus underneath the city. So that is where we are going to be picking up. Albus, you have been having your gathering under the city. Hish, you, your ex-wife, your son, Jill, and Ulman, you are all on the surface in the long hall, a central meeting place for this town, and you are resting. You have been treated to dinner, a brief spoken word performance about this great whale that provided such excellent fish and catches for the rest of the city, but have since been left alone. So what would the three of you like to do as Albus is still finishing up his interaction with the members of Lethlung?
I think Ulman is putting on a performance of some kind, trying to take everyone's minds off of their location before we all head off to sleep.
Sort of performance.
I was gonna say.
Guitar performance.
Does he play the guitar?
Yes.
Does he have a guitar?
Yes.
For a second, I thought he was gonna be like, painting live, like a Bob Ross situation.
But he in fact duets with Ham.
Oh no.
Many of the crew members that you have who have joined you for this are a bit unsettled, but at the same time, this is, albeit a bit of what they expected to actually be going on here. Talia is tense, to say the least, given the current circumstances and the fact that she didn't really want to leave the ship, but you were all told to leave the ship, so she's just kind of doing what the captain has informed her to do at this point. So, Ulman, I would like for you to make a performance check.
18.
Okay. It is a wonderful performance. It seems like Ulman and Ham have practiced harmonizing enough times that really it's able to carry quite well. And in a different life, you feel like Ulman could have totally been a bard if he had actually made it to the big city. So, Ulman, you are putting on a performance. Hish, you are doing your best to make sure that everyone just kind of stays calm. And Jill, is there anything that you would like to do at this time as well?
I think at this point, Jill is kind of like coming back into the longhouse after her conversation with Adrian, and is doing so not necessarily sneaking in, but like trying not to, disturb anyone. And she probably goes and like gets just like another mug of ale from somewhere and like slides in next to Hish and is just like, I didn't realize we'd be getting another show.
I didn't either, but I mean, I'm not gonna complain.
How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm just great.
Yeah, you look like you're really enjoying yourself.
Yep. That's what I'm feeling. Just a ton of joy and relaxation.
Ollie has not picked up on the weird fact that this town is currently vacant because he is a child and is actually clapping along and enjoying Ulman's song. And Talia is sort of like, okay, I'm at a kid's concert. Like, this is okay. Like, she's just more enjoying the fact that she doesn't have to worry about Ollie in this specific setting.
Mm-hmm. He he's just kind of watching Ollie and Talia while he talks to Jill, and he says, where did you run off to?
Oh, well, I decided to have a little chat with Adrian per Albus's suggestion.
Is that the guy that looks like Albus?
Yes. The one who was doing the spoken piece about the whale.
Right. Yeah. Kind of felt like being in church. Wasn't really a fan.
A little bit. Yes, they hold this creature and Albus in extremely high regard.
Right. Are you feeling uncomfortable?
And Jill,
Well,
you had been outside of the town or outside of the long haul during all of this. It was dead. There is not a single soul that is currently out and about, and if anything, you had seen them all almost systematically return to their own homes.
well, it's certainly quiet and very what's the word I'm looking for here? Everyone has a very particular schedule they go about, so it's quaint. Maybe is that the word I'm looking for?
I think the word that you're looking for is haunted. This place feels haunted.
Well, they have their own sense of joy in a way. They've found some purpose. It certainly, perhaps might be a little unorthodox. But talking to Adrian, he seemed incredibly happy.
Yeah, because he's like the leader of a cult. The longer you talk, the more I'm convinced this is a cult town. We're in a cult town.
Yeah, I think you may be right on that one, she says, just staring into her mug.
I just don't want to stay the night in a cult town and wake up murdered.
Well, could we not stay on the ship?
I mean, we could, but we're still on the ship in the cold town, and I don't know how long Albus has got to do his thing. I don't know if he's in on it, because, I mean, granted, he's come a long way, but...
No, we're safe here. I know it's uncomfortable, but they have good intentions.
And those intentions are... Like, what are
well,
they doing here? What?
They are living out their lives. They're not doing anything out of the ordinary. They just are very... I mean, to them, this creature, who Albus to them is an avatar of, is a sign of hope, is prosperity, is a great boon.
So Albus is a god.
I don't think he would appreciate being called that, but
that's what you're saying. That's how these
he
people
certainly
view him.
is idolized. Yes.
Like a god.
Yes. As much as that would probably pain him to hear. But you know, these people don't have any grand plans. They just want to fish and go about their days and await more news and good tidings from their provider, their guardian.
Well, I guess when you put it that way. It ain't half bad, I guess. Just something feels off. Vibes off. Something's not right.
Well, I mean, they're so entirely devoted to their...
Well, so were the people
guardian.
on the island, but they were... No, they were a little weird too. But, like, they still seemed like... Is it rude to say they're almost, like... hollow in nature?
Perhaps, but you would not be entirely wrong.
You are choosing your words very carefully, Jill. And I don't understand what's going on here.
Albus told me that after he died, I guess returned to his plane where he's originally from, that he remembered a way to save me from my obligations to the gods.
Well, that's great, right?
Yeah.
Okay, not so great then.
Well, I mean,
Thought you wanted to be free and break the chains and
yes, I do. Most definitely, but it's not so simple. Apparently, if Albus can revert to his original form and regain his true power, he can intercede on my behalf and offer
If-
his protection.
like a god?
Like a god.
Okay.
So, I would not be
Right,
free.
you would just
Rather,
be
I
serving
would be
Albus.
in service to Albus, which is a really weird dynamic to have with someone you consider a companion anyways. And then when you come to this place and talk to these people and see what their lives are like, it's
Oh my god, yeah. I imagine not very comforting or appealing.
it's well, it's certainly confirmed my suspicions that there's nothing anyone can really do to save me from the mess I'm in. But it does tell me that Albus's intentions are good, and the intentions of these people here are good. So that is comforting.
It still seems like you're really disappointed, though.
I'm trying not to be. It was an offer that I believe was made in good faith, but it's just not what I was hoping for.
Well, yeah, it can be both. I'm sorry, Jill.
It's all right. I suppose it's just my lot in life, she says, looking down at her hands.
Well, don't give up all hope.
I appreciate it.
We'll keep looking. I mean, there's got to be some kind of like gods be gone, or I don't know, the spray, a tonic.
If only it were that simple. But it's an amusing thought.
Yeah. Also, we should really talk to Albus about him essentially being a god. Does he know? Does he know that what? I feel like I shouldn't be the one to bring it up, but like somebody's got to tell him.
sorry, ale went down the wrong way.
Right.
I think it's hard to say. I surely I believe some part of him sees the connection, but he doesn't want to.
I see. Okay. All right. Yeah. Maybe it's better to leave that one alone then.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I think Hish is going to kind of look around. I'd like to kind of observe what everyone else is doing. Not necessarily the crew, but more the townsfolk in here.
So you have realized that there are very few, if any, townsfolk that are still here. It looks like just your crew is in the long haul. And as this conversation has begun to dwindle, you notice that almost in a systematic nature, one outside member of the village will come in through a back door, and then two, and then a single one, and then another two, and it seems like they are just steadily filing back into the long haul. And each one towards the back is clapping along to Ulman's song and seems to be enjoying the performance as a whole. And towards the end of the song that you are currently on, one of them will raise their hand and ask if you know any songs about the Guardian.
Unfortunately, I had not run into the Guardian before today, so I don't know any songs, but if you have some, I would be happy to learn them from you.
And at that, you see about four of them nod, just, oh, yes. Yes, of course. And they end up joining you on stage. One of them pulls out what looks like a pan flute that is made of a series of bones. Another looks like they have a kind of like a side drum that's made from a turtle shell, and another variety of also like instruments that have been made from crudely fashioned animal parts, rather than buying fancy instruments or anything like that. Seems like even in the creation of their own music, they are, and it is an attempt to be self-sustaining. And they lead you in to give you kind of like a good idea of where the role of this guitar would be for the course of the song. And then two of them are actually going to be singing as a duet about how wonderful the Guardian has been for their village, and about how plentiful harvest has been, both from the land and from the sea. These songs don't necessarily travel as well as you would expect, as they would expect them to, but they don't seem to mind that your crew doesn't. They don't seem to even catch on that your group is uncomfortable about the content of this song.
Yeah, I think like right at the beginning of them starting to like set up and play, he's just gonna lean forward and he's gonna go, okay, I'm gonna go take a walk.
Ulman just like casts you a glance that's like, how dare you leave me like this?
Yeah, he sort of gives like a sorry about it look to Ulman, and then turns to Talia and says, you gonna be okay if I go take a walk?
And she just gives you, again, kind of the same look of the how dare you, but you see that Ollie is clapping along with the songs and he's sitting with her. She's just like, don't leave me. But at the same time, you're like, yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah, he sort of pats her on the shoulder a little bit and goes, you got this. And yeah, I think he's gonna walk around the town.
Okay. So as you are walking around the town, it is like you have heard tales of places that, like in Waterdeep, that there is this temple to Gond at the House of Skilled Hands. And inside of it, you have heard that they will create small mechanized almost mini cities, mini settings that are wound with clockwork, similar to that of a large clock that then has a little scene that plays out. And as you are going around this village, the interactions of all that live here seem to be almost reminiscent of that clockwork. You see that there are others who are in the process of performing an exchange for goods and services. They'll be purchasing fish from a vendor, but just the way that you see people reaching into their coin pouches, pulling out funds, passing it over, it seems methodical. It doesn't have that air of... It doesn't have that same kind of discordance that Saltmarsh has. There's no haggling. There's no back and forth. It's just people telling each other to have a pleasant day, that they are glad to be doing business with one another. And they are all talking about how wonderful their harvest has been, how great their days have been. And each and every single person that you pass by is having similar interactions. The content of their conversations may vary, but ultimately they are all talking about how well off they are and how much they enjoy the area that they live in.
So it's like the little clockwork Duloc from Shrek.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But these people aren't clockwork from what you can see. They are flesh and blood. They express relatively honest joy. And I say relatively honest because you as Hish aren't necessarily sure where this joy is coming from. This place is kind of a shithole, but like
Right.
they seem to be enjoying it well enough.
Yeah, I'm curious as to like, is there anything to do in this little sleepy town, or like, do they, other than the longhouse, do they party? I don't know.
My name's Rod and I like to party. You just see like a group of 4 dudes building some stunt set. No, it seems like there is a little bit of a gathering that is taking place around one of these homes where people seem even more excited. And as you are getting to a corner where you can actually see around what these people have gathered around to be excited about, you see Albus exiting from one of these homes. And it seems like they are excited that Albus is here. But other than that, as you have seen, there is very little to do in this town. It seems like it survives off of fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And that even though you have seen people exchange coin, you're not sure where this coin comes from or if it has just stayed circulating within this small town for a while.
So sad.
Albus, make a perception check.
Natural 1.
You are caught up with all of these people telling you how grateful they are that you have returned.
Is there a way I can sort of go behind these houses and maybe find a way to slip into the back of where Albus just came from?
Yes. You have a passive perception of like 18 or some horse shit like that, or it's like 16.
16.
Yeah, you're able to find one. Make a stealth check.
Okay. What is my stealth? -1. So it's an 8.
Okay. So yeah, you go into one of the back doors for these houses, and as you enter inside, there's an individual who has remained in this house as well, and they look at you and give you a very confused look, and then they ask, "May I help you?"
Uh, yeah, maybe. I was just sort of curious. I saw Albus coming out of here. I didn't realize he had a house. I figured.
Oh, this is my house, but the Guardian is able to use it whenever they wish.
Right. Sorry. Thought it was Albus's house. You are?
They will extend their hand out and say that they are Dalen.
Dalen. Good to meet you. I'm
Oh,
Hish.
the pleasure is all mine. You have sailed with the Guardian, correct?
Yeah, I brought him here.
Oh, much thanks to you, Hish. Much thanks indeed.
You're welcome.
And they just give you a very earnest smile.
Was sailing by here anyway. What exactly does the Guardian use your house for? Like, does he stay here on his vacations, or?
And the Albus, would you have told the individuals here in the town to inform outsiders about the caverns below, or it was the instruction to not tell them about the caverns below?
So the standard practice for anybody passing through Saltmarsh is everybody behaves as normally as possible and make sure that people stay out of the underground caverns. I don't know what they would do for somebody who sailed with the Guardians, but standard practice, people who ask too many questions might not leave.
Okay. And the figure says, well, sometimes we use my house to host town meetings, to discuss if there's anything pressing. The Guardian's return is pressing enough as a matter. And so we held a meeting about it.
Oh. Good, joyous meeting, I hope?
Of course. The most joyous. We had revelry and snacks. Have you ever had a crab cake before?
Yeah.
They are quite small and not cake-like in any means.
I think it's more just the Actually, you know what? Yeah, you're right. They're not really like a cake at all. So it was just kind of a welcome home party then.
Of course.
Right.
A smaller party than we would have typically at the long haul.
Well, I mean, if you guys had wanted, we would. You didn't have to. I mean, we would gladly join in your.
We didn't want to
crab
worry
cakes
you.
and revelry.
Oh, it is all right.
Worry us? Is there like a problem in the town?
Well,
right now?
no, there are. We understand. Our ways might be slightly different than you are accustomed to. And so we figured that we wouldn't want to worry you.
I mean, I haven't seen anything that's particularly worrisome so far.
Well, that is good. Are you enjoying your stay in Lethlung?
Yeah. It's
we have
very
a
nice,
star
very
rating
relaxing.
here. Would you be able to give us a review between 1 and 5 stars? How would you rate your stay?
You know,
I would say it was a 5.
you know, I was just thinking the same thing. Literally, just the same thought was going through my head. At this
Great
very
minds,
moment.
Hish. Great minds.
Really enjoying the peace and quiet here.
Yes.
Can I kind of glance around for anything
Yeah.
suspicious or off?
Make a perception check.
Okay. Let me use this other dice. Because that one didn't do me good. And now I'm talking to Taylor. 13 plus 6, so 19.
Okay, with a 19, you can see that there are scuffs along the floorboards for where it looks like the legs of the table that Dalen is currently sitting at have been moved aside. And you can see that the rug that is underneath his table looks like it is also kind of bunched up a little bit to actually show what looks like a trapdoor of sorts underneath that rug.
Got yourself a cellar?
Oh, yes. It's full of quite a delicious selection of foods. May I offer you anything to eat? And he looks at you with a very straight face, and then you see it cracks into a brief smile.
I was just,
We have many delicacies here in Lethlung. Would you like to try any?
Sure. I'll try anything once.
Excellent. I insist.
Well, if you insist.
And they stand up and go over towards a small larder and end up pulling out a selection of foods. You see that there are some crab cakes that are involved, and eventually they return and set a plate of food on the table in front of you, and then they also pull out a small glass, set the glass next to the food, and then pour you a drink of what looks to be... It smells like licorice and is of a greenish color. And they just sit down opposite from you and then say, enjoy.
Thank you. I have to say I'm really impressed with your town's hospitality.
Of course, one of the blessings that we have been given is culinary ability.
I see. What is it exactly that you've? I have to say, I don't think I've encountered a drink like this that wasn't some kind of spirit.
It is spirits. We like to party here.
I'm gonna die. I see. So it's absinthe. Then.
Yes.
Do you have any sugar to go with it, maybe?
And they think about it. I do believe I have some sugar. Small portions, if we must. We prefer salt here. It's easier to come by.
Well, yeah, naturally. It's the same way in Saltmarsh.
And then they will turn their backs to you to access the larder again to try and find you some sugar.
Okay, what's going on with this food?
Looking at it, it looks normal. You smell it. It smells on the level. There's no obvious horrid thing waiting for you. There are no little tendrils like still writhing about. It looks like freshly cut fish, crab cakes, and it looks like a small stack of dried seaweed next to it.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. I'm not mad about this snack. I think. Oh, he's gonna pop one of those snacks in his mouth, and he's trying to determine if he can slip through the trap door.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Which snack you nibbling on?
Oh. You said there was a crab cake.
A crab
some
cake?
nori.
Yes.
And Maybe a third thing?
Yes, the third thing was just very thinly cut raw fish. So very expertly done sashimi,
Yeah.
nori,
Okay.
or crab cakes.
Okay. Probably this sashimi, because he can probably just pop a whole one in his mouth without thinking about it.
All right. And then make a stealth check.
Okay.
As you try and move a table, flip up in a rug, pull a trapdoor up, sneak into the trapdoor, all while a guy is turned around.
I thought the table was moved.
No, the table has been moved back, but you see the marrings on the floor of where the table has been previously moved. And as he is walking, you can hear that there is an echoing coming from beneath the floorboards.
Oh man, this is gonna go very bad for me. I should have just ate my snack. Fuck. So 7 minus 1 for stealth.
Okay. So as you are moving the table, Dalen turns back around and then looks at you confused. Is something wrong with our carpentry?
No, actually, I was really impressed by it. My father was a carpenter, and I was just admiring your table.
As was my father. It seems we are one and the same, Hish.
Yeah. 2 peas in a pod. Just
very much so.
Love the dovetail work here.
And they smile and nod at you and come back and offer you sugar for your green beverage.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think Hish puts a teaspoon of sugar in his absinthe and takes a sip, and I think continues to nosh on the other snacks on his plate.
Excellent. Make a wisdom save at disadvantage.
Jesus Christ. Which one did it to me? I want to know. Was it the seaweed?
No.
It was the crab cake. Fuck. What's my wisdom save modifier? Okay, so 6.
Andor, did you kill my kids?
No. Definitely not.
He's gonna kill Hish, though!
Hish? Maybe it's something to do with this town? You know, what they've been saying about Albus? He's really not that bad. And you're kind of like, you kind of see it now, you know? Like, he's been really helpful throughout this whole time. This food's actually really good. Things have been fine here since you arrived, and that worry starts to leave you.
Oh, fucking God. I'm gonna join a cult.
I can't believe Hish drank the Kool-Aid.
I drank the
ate the crab cake.
Oh, I drank the crab cake Kool-Aid. Can't believe you're gonna make me like Albus.
Truly a fate worse than God's.
Truly. No, yeah, I think Hish kind of, where he's been kind of very stiff and tense, he sort of relaxes and starts to slouch a little bit and just keeps eating his snack and making probably less stilted small talk with Dalen. And
it turns out that you and Dalen have even more in common than you were thinking. Dalen also once sailed a ship, but his ship went down somewhere around Lethlung. When he awoke on its shores, he was, well, offered hospitality by the townsfolk, and he just never really thought about leaving.
Oh.
It was so wonderful here. So perfect and nice. Everyone is pleasant.
Yeah, everyone is really pleasant. Doesn't seem like there's anything really to Well, I mean, what's not to like about this town? I
Oh,
can see why you stayed.
It's wonderful. And the fogs keep outside intruders relatively away from us.
I mean, don't you think that'd get kind of boring, though?
Boring. Hish, like I told you, we enjoy a good party.
Okay, so what's like a Lethlung party like?
Well, we all meet up in the long hall. You've already experienced our spirits, and, well, we share those. We have revelry. It is a party.
That is the definition of a party.
And they just nod. Albus, make a perception check.
6.
You feel, because you are connected to each member of Lethlung.
Oh,
For the most
even
part.
even in this body?
Even in this body, you are connected to them by some fashion, some slight modicum. You feel as if there's someone new. You aren't able
Okay.
to identify who they are or what's going on, but the town has grown this day.
Right. So I did have a thing that I wanted to do.
Sure.
Just like whenever I was, you know, away from the adoring fans and everything.
Of course. Being a celebrity is quite difficult.
Yeah, so whenever I had gotten out of all that, I was gonna send a message to Hish and say, the Chul are taken care of if you want to go back on the ship and take your people there. If you're uncomfortable, you should be free now.
Is he talking to me in my brain, or is this a
Yes.
sending message?
This is a sending spell.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Hish sends back whenever you're ready. No rush.
Albus, make an insight check.
Natural 1.
Whenever you're ready.
Albus.
Hish seems to have calmed down. It seems like truly they have taken in the sights of Lethlung, and it has appeased Hish, which is great. You love it when your friends are happy.
Yeah, I think Hish eventually he kind of gets up and says, "Well, I should return to the long haul. Thank you. I wasn't expecting such a pleasant evening, but here we are."
Of course, Hish. Many thanks upon you for visiting. Please do come again.
I'm sure I will. And he gives him a nod and turns on his heel and heads straight back to the long haul.
At this point, Ulman, you have been playing with these people for far too long. Even Ham's fingers are tired. And you can only hear so many songs about how great fish people are. Not necessarily fish people, but the Guardian.
Out of this hell.
Eventually, you are able to retire, and as you do, Albus, would you have returned to the long hall where your friends are?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you return, and Albus, you notice that Ulman is just getting done having played a long set with your town's members. Jill is looks like she has just been like mentally blocking out all of what has been going on in terms of music and is more just like thinking about something. Hish is not there.
Where's Hish?
He went for a walk earlier.
Did he say where?
No, he didn't specify. He just said he needed some air.
And at that point, Hish.
What?
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll something. It's a 2. Great. All right, I'll let him get a share. Honestly, I should.
Just melt them down and turn them into one obelisk of failure.
Yeah.
Do it. So it is at that point, Albus, as you were taking stock that Hish has gone out to get some air. Hish, you end up returning to the long hall. And Jill, you notice that Hish doesn't seem as tense. Entering into the hall, they seem like they've just had a nice walk. They've enjoyed themselves. Albus, you also notice that Hish doesn't seem to have that same on-edge guard that they have had up the entire time that they've been in this town. They seem like they've enjoyed their stay.
Yeah, I'll just wave Hish down and be like, Albus was looking for you.
Great. Yeah, he kind of looks around for Albus.
You spot him quite easily.
You wanted to see me?
Yeah, I mean, you just weren't here.
Oh yeah, I was taking a walk and I met one of your villagers. He was very nice.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I took care of the problem. If you're ready to leave.
Right, well, like I said, I'm in no rush, so whenever you're ready.
And Albus, you don't even have to roll for this. You know, like, talking with Hish in person now and seeing the comfortability that they have, it's just like, yeah, there's no rush. Something's not adding up for Hish. And then you think about the feeling that you got of a new member.
I'm gonna go get some more ale. Anybody want anything?
No, I'm sad. Thank you, though.
All right. Well, I'm at least gonna grab Talia some wine because she looks like she needs it. So.
Okay.
Walks off.
Yeah, and Hish walks off very nonchalantly. Again, the rest of you also notice that Hish's guard seems to be down at this point.
Feeling good.
To insight.
Yeah, you can totally make an insight.
Can I also make one as well?
Yes.
14.
Let's see. 19.
You both know something's going on. Like, you have the same level of insight that Albus does into this, of just being like, what? Like, the one person who is the most, obstinate about coming to this location is like, yeah, it's fine if we just stay here a while. They seem to have acclimated to the town very quickly.
Amazing what a walk will do.
Do either of you are either of you particularly talented at dispelling magic?
Why do you ask, Albus?
You should try to do that on Hish.
Why? Well, I mean, they are acting strange, and you are implying you are aware of why that is. So I guess that why is what's happening.
Well, I only have one spell prepared. I don't know how helpful that would be. I would have to rest on it.
Ham knows. Apparently Ham knows.
To answer your question, I think Hish went where he wasn't supposed to. And I think one of the villagers was trying to cover for me.
That just generates more questions, but I assume you'll have time to answer them on the ship.
I can
Speaking
answer
of
them
which,
tonight.
is the ship available?
The ship is completely devoid of crabs.
Great. We should round everybody up. Mostly because that's where sleeping quarters are. I don't want people sleeping on the ground.
No, I think I do owe all of you an explanation.
Yes, that would especially considering saying that we need to dispel some magic on Hish. An explanation would probably be good, just so we can figure out what kind of dispelling we need to do.
Charm.
Right.
Probably from a source that was ingested.
That won't do. Yeah,
Can
I
I
would
just
need.
can I just ram some fingers down Hish's throat unexpectedly? Do you think that would work? You said ingested.
Depends on how long ago it was that he ate it.
How long have I been performing?
You've been performing close to about... Since you started, it's been about an hour and a half.
And what about when Hish left?
Hish left roughly about a half hour into your set. So it's been about an hour.
I don't know anything about digestion, but I think it's been an hour since they left.
No, lesser restoration won't do. Maybe well, it's not a curse, is it?
No.
No, not a curse. Maybe could try to just dispel magic. It's not a poison, is it?
Indoor with restoration or dispel magic work.
What does Lesser Resto do?
I don't think it would work. It's blinded, deafened, paralyzed, and poisoned. Well, no.
No, Lesser Resto wouldn't, but Dispel would.
Okay. I have to sleep on it.
I think Ham, forces Ulman's body closer to the table and, to both of your faces and says, Ham can do it.
Ham, would you?
And Ham looks over at Hish and just points his finger and said, no magic.
Okay. And make an Arcana check.
What does that use as a bonus?
Your intelligence.
Or my casting set?
For Dispel Magic, I believe it is... Or no, Dispel Magic is just roll a d20. And then...
okay.
Yeah.
No, it says make an ability check using your spellcasting ability.
Cool.
So that would be just my charisma then?
Yes.
So 16.
Okay, so 16. Hish, you have gotten drinks. You have sat down next to Talia. You were in the process of telling Talia about, like, you know, you walked outside, you talked around to some people. They really weren't that bad. One of them even offered you some food. It was a pretty pleasant experience, all things considered. And then the magic dispels from you. And you realize that you got a little brainwashed while you were here.
Yeah, I think he's in the process of saying, like, you know, real estate probably wouldn't be too bad unless.
Is everything all right?
Uh-huh.
What's that face for? What's this for?
I just,
She goes to take a sip of the wine that you've given her.
Yeah, he puts his hand over it. Don't drink that. I don't think it's very good on second thought.
It's okay.
I'd rather you have something from the ship.
Do I see any of this?
You do. It's all happening within the long hall. And Albus, after the dispel magic has taken effect, you feel one of the blips that you are connected to just dissipate.
All right.
Hish?
I'm going to mind link with Hish as he puts his hand over the wine thing. None of the food here is going to do that to you.
Yeah, I think he whips around, and I don't even think he thinks to think about it. He just goes, bullshit.
And Talia just looks at you very confused, and you hear Ollie go, shit! Shit!
No. Well, Ollie,
and Talia just like looks at Ollie, then looks at you, just...
Ollie, that's a word that we don't say. It's not very polite.
Shit.
No? Okay. You know what? I'm feeling a little unwell, and I think I'm going to go back to the ship. And Ollie, you're coming back to the ship with me if you're going to use that language, young man.
Sailor mouth! And he just jumps up and then climbs up onto your back.
Yeah, he yeah, he hoists him up and says, okay, just don't eat or drink anything that's not from the ship. Okay. Wait, you didn't already do that, right?
And then you remember that you've all been given food since you've been here. At the beginning of the long haul, the food was presented. There were some nibbles that were had. None of you feel weird. Hish, you don't feel that sense of belonging while being here like you did previously.
You know what? On second thought, the wine is probably fine, and you deserve it right now. So,
Talia just slams it.
Yep, father-son
She
time.
stands
On
up.
the ship.
Yep, and sets the wine glass down, and the dysfunctional family, the dysfunctional Sun Guard family, is all making their way back to the ship.
Before Hish leaves, Albus is going to mind link again. If you can get all the crew and Talia and Ollie on the ship to get ready to leave, I'll show you what you were so curious about.
Yeah, I think Hish kind of stops mid stride. And then he sort of thinks back to you. Have Ulman round up the crew. I'm gonna go get my head on straight. Then maybe we can talk.
Yep. And he relates that to Ulman.
With pleasure.
Ulman, you have never been happier to get the fuck out of Dodge.
Omen just like glances at the rest of the crew and they all know and everyone rises simultaneously and awkwardly shuffles out. Much like the villagers.
But at least there's like a sense of individuality with each
Yeah.
with each person's shuffle. And Jill, you are also told by Ulman that you guys are heading back to the ship. It seems like whatever you were here for has been taken care of.
Yeah, Jill will make her way back as well.
Okay, so
Not as tense as everyone else.
no, this has been a weird day, but it's not the worst. You didn't drown, so like it was a plus. And that is where we are going to go into our break for the evening. So we are going to try and be back in 5 to 10 minutes. In the meantime, consider checking out the giveaway, which I will post a link right over there, that direction. Other than that, we also have our merch store, so consider checking that out. But otherwise, we are going to try and be back in 5 to 10 minutes. So grab a food, grab a drink, grab a friend, and we will see you guys shortly. All right, everybody. Bye-bye! And we're back. Hello, everybody. We have all been rallied onto the ship of Oliver's Triumph, escaping the long haul and putting behind you momentarily all of the weird shit that was going on in Lethlung. Hish, you take a brief moment to check in the bilge. It is all clear. Everything is fine. Ollie is still scared of monsters down there because you told him that there were monsters beneath the ship, but that's just a standard childhood fear. But your vessel is currently crabless. It takes about 15 minutes or so for everybody else to get onto the ship, and once they are all on board, what would you guys like to do? Albus, you said that your party members were free to ask you about anything, correct?
Yeah.
Or in regards to the city?
Yeah. He would offer to answer their questions now or show them now that everybody is back on the boat.
I think before he does anything else, Ulman goes and like peeks into the kitchen.
There is no one currently inside of the kitchen. It seems like Joe Dariel had left. But the present that you got her is also gone. It seems like she took it with her.
I think Ulman bites both of his lips for a moment and then turns around and goes back over to Albus. So, what's with this place?
Are we walking and talking? Or,
Sure.
Or do none of you trust me?
I trust you. In fact, if anything weird was to happen, I should be there. I'm still technically hired by you.
He looks at Jill and Hish.
I know your intentions.
I can't say I'm the most trusting at the moment, but I was also poking around where I don't belong, so if you would like to show us, that's up to you. If not, I will happily put it behind us.
And he's gonna lead you back into town, into one of the buildings, goes into the trapdoor and starts leading you into a I don't want to say like damp tunnel, but like you can definitely hear just like the echo of like water. and eventually this cave is it's going to start to be illuminated as we slowly get to more and more where more and more of these blue-green crystals are starting to grow. And it starts off soft, but as more and more of them start growing together, they definitely give off a little bit of light. And as we keep going, this is going to be about a 15-minute walk. Every now and then they start to like throb, I guess. It's really subtle, but there's definitely a connection between these crystals. And eventually we get to a really large grotto beneath the center of town, where there is this pool about, I want to say like 50 feet across. And impossibly deep toward the middle of it. You see a whole bunch of little scuttling green crabs and a bunch of bigger crawfish. And you see the hull of a ship, a whaling vessel. Beyond repair, what's left here is probably just like the front end of it, or the back end of it. And once we get in, Albus will say, "This is where I woke up 3 years ago."
I can think of worse places. It's certainly pretty with the crystals.
Yes, it has strange charm about it.
And this is the place where I think I lived before that. This town, I thought I told you the story. I must be forgetting. I forget so much in this body. I came here after Albus Lacroix found me whenever his whaling crew, his whaling vessel, was in a dry spell. It had been years before they had seen anything, and they were starving. They prayed out to any god that would help them, but none came, because that's who the gods are. But eventually they found me. And so I came back with them. Tried to make them happy. But that's what they told me.
I suppose it's hard to know for yourself when you can't actually remember being here. So, I can't really put any blame on you for not knowing.
Is there... Do you remember why the ship is no longer intact?
No. Hish, I'm sorry what happened to you. I promise that was not my intention, and I don't want to make excuses, but I think the villagers are being a bit protective of my secrets.
I see.
Are they always like this?
Like what?
I don't know, so scripted? They all act like they're trying to be normal, but it all comes off as everyone, I don't know, everyone's a little stilted. There's no sense of individuality here, it feels like.
I guess I've never really thought about it. I just thought everyone here was happy.
Yeah.
I mean, they certainly seem to be, but I don't know, none of them ever dream of anything more than here, and that seems strange.
Yeah, I suppose it would.
Of course, I could also be reading my own values too far into it. If they're happy just fishing and living life here, then who am I to judge that?
I I have something for all of you. And he's gonna go back to the ship. The ship in here, not 15 minutes out. And he is gonna go pull out 3 they're just like little burlap bags. And hand one of them to each of you.
Woman looks down at the sack and looks up at you, and I think realization dawns in his eye. Oh, a gift! Thank you so much. I'll open mine first, and he opens it up.
Yeah, and you see it is yet another pot because we're those kinds of people. And it's got some sort of nautical imagery sort of like etched into the sides of it. And you notice that the inside is a little wet. And if you taste it, it's salt water.
This is a salty pot of some kind? It's very beautiful.
Yeah, it seasons it seasons whatever you cook in it.
Ooh. That is very useful. Thank you very much, Albus. This is... Oh, thank you. And he, looks over at both of you excitedly.
Yeah, I think Jill will open her gift next.
Yours is a lot smaller. But as you open it, you see on a piece of on a leather coil or leather cord, there is one of these blue-green crystals.
Albus, it's beautiful.
I think they call it Ashermite. It's it focuses arcane and psionic energy. You would recognize that Adrian was also wearing one of these.
I see.
You don't have to use it. You may not need to use it, but I offered you something that I don't intend to take back. Should you ever wish it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I think she'll put it in her bag. She won't put it on, but she will like put it into her bag.
And Hish, I think he slowly opens his up.
And whenever you open up, you're staring at this piece of like twisted metal for a long time because it doesn't make sense. If you've ever looked at a like image of a tesseract, how it like sort of folds in on itself consistently, like it doesn't make sense in three-dimensional geometry.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like that, but a lot more like twisty, curvy. And as you stare at it, you start to like get a little bit of a headache, maybe a little bit nauseous. That Albus kept that in his ship. I know it was sort of a charm to keep it safe. I know we don't have a Umberlayan cleric anymore, but maybe this would help.
Yeah, Hish, he's sort of, you can see him, the gears are turning in his head as he's trying to look at this and sort of comprehend it. But yeah, there's a smile that comes across his face when he looks back at you. And he says, "Thank you, Albus."
I guess, do any of you have other questions?
I feel bad asking this question when you've just given us these gifts.
You shouldn't. I know my entire situation has been complicated, and I know that I'm asking you to take me to something that I've been after for a long time, something that might be very dangerous for all of you. But you're here in my home. This is every part of me. You've seen it all. Ask away.
I don't really know how, but I'll give it a shot. Albus, when I was talking with Dalen and they gave me whatever it is, to sort of sway me over. it was sort of obvious I wasn't myself, right? And so I'm wondering how much of this town and these people are characterized by their gratitude and their own free will, and how much could be a thrall.
I don't remember. I can tell you that I'm not doing anything right now intentionally.
Okay. So in other words, it's unclear.
Yes.
Has this happened anywhere else to anybody else since you've been awake?
Yes. In Saltmarsh. Whenever we were away. Whenever they started eating the jewel. And don't tell me if that's not right.
No, that's right.
Okay.
Yep.
How many people?
Everybody who ate the green lobster. Which is why it was very important for us to get them out.
Wait a minute. I don't think I'm understanding correctly. The crabs.
You ate the crab cake, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I ate them.
In the town's defense, it was really delicious.
It was good.
Ah.
You said that you had to get the jewel out, or you had to get the people who ate.
I had to get jewel out.
Okay.
I think the effects are gonna wear off. Is that right?
The effects did seem to wear off after a set amount of time of having not consumed it regularly.
Okay. All right. Okay. For a second, I thought that you had said that the people who ate the green lobster turned into jewel.
No.
And then you took them, and I got a little worried there for a second.
Oh, no. I turned people into Vaseline, remember?
Trying to forget.
Fun, fresh, and slimy.
Rest in peace. Yeah, I think Hish nods and says, okay, well, then I'm glad that we did this. I think that's it. That's the only questions I have.
Maybe this is a little too philosophical, and I'm just giving it too much thought. But, Albus, do you ever worry that when you complete your mission and return to your true form, you will feel differently about all of us, about this town. You obviously were okay with some of the things here, which, you know, it's hard to grasp when you have no memories of, and I'm not gonna, put those things on you here, but I don't know.
I was. I'm not anymore. Whenever I died, I remember what happened after. I was myself again. I didn't have a body, but I was back home. Not here, but my real home. Our home. My people's home. I don't remember a lot from there, but I was able to hold on to a couple of things. I fought to hold on to a couple of things. One was a way to find your child. But I see that has already resolved itself. One was a way to get Jill free. And the other was how to get to my destination. If I felt differently, if I had some sort of ulterior motive, or if in my real form I was truly the monster that I think on some level you all still suspect me of being, I don't think I would have tried to hold on to those things for you.
I think Ulman just kind of steps up to you and, can I give you a hug? And he, goes in for a hug very carefully to avoid any direct skin-to-skin contact. But he grasps you firmly and says, I appreciate you, Albus. We're gonna do this. I believe in us.
So back to the ship.
As quickly as possible.
Yep, and we head back to the ship.
Jill doesn't really say anything, but I think as she's walking, she pulls the necklace out of her bag and just kind of twirls it around in her fingers.
Okay. Sounds good. So, you guys make your way back to Oliver's Triumph. At this point, it is getting pretty late in the evening. It's getting dark out, and you know that it's most likely unsafe to sail out through the fog banks at this time. So you'll probably have to spend the night there, but I am guessing that it is a raise anchor, go out into the bay, and then rest there and not be attached to the actual the mainland at all. Which I think is totally fine with the majority of the crew members at this point. And then starting the next day, you all know that your destination lies far to the south of where you currently are. Is there anything that you guys would like to do before setting out on this trip?
I'm going to show Hish where Albus LaCroix kept the Eldritch Charm of Safe Passage, which was literally under the steering wheel, like in a hollowed out place under the wheel.
Yeah, I think Hish puts it there without question.
Sounds good.
Gives it a little smack, a little tap after he sets it down.
All right. And as your ship begins sailing away, the majority of the people of Lethlung are all waving you on and cheering and wishing their guardian safe travel as he makes his way down south, with all of your help, of course. Throughout your travels, this is going to take a while to actually sail all the way south. So is there anything that you guys would like to make a point specifically of during your travels? One thing of note is that Bims has actually attached himself to Ollie, seeing as how this little pseudo-dragon is attached to those of good nature, and no one is gooder than this young tiefling boy. Talia doesn't like the fact that Ollie has gotten a pet, but seeing Bims and Ollie interact, she grows more and more okay with it. It didn't necessarily follow him home, but rather this pet was already on the ship, and now he has grown attached to it.
Get your kid a pet who drinks. I think Ulman is just continuing his education program most of the time, trying to keep himself physically fit and practicing during the day to keep himself sharp on the long trip, but making lots of meals.
Albus is not going to participate in the teaching as per Hish's wishes, but he will after sort of psionically eavesdropping, come up with a curriculum that he will give Ulman.
Oh yeah, totally. Ulman would definitely go over that with you and like find a good way to pack as much information into this trip as possible.
Okay, sounds good. And Jill, you still have your learning how to speak Draconic book. By the end of this trip, you will for sure be able to at least read and write in Draconic. The verbalization of it is tough because the only practice partner that you have is a pseudo-dragon.
Was it Draconic or Lizard Folk?
It was Lizard Folk actually speak Draconic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, if anything, your dialect will be that of a Lizard Folk, but you will at least be able to, again, read and write in Draconic.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think Jill will read that over the course of the trip, but I think she's gonna try and stay out of her room as much as possible and like do more on like the deck of the ship, like help navigate and just she's got a lot of like antsy energy. And is like trying to preoccupy herself and I think whenever she's not running around the ship doing things, she's just kind of staring off south, just looking out onto the ocean.
Okay. All right. And Hish, is there anything that you are doing in specifically during this journey?
Yeah, well, not really, but I think Hish, most of the time, he's either tending to something on the ship or he's with Ollie, either teaching him about the ship or playing games, or, going over what he learned that day. But I think other than that, where Jill kind of has this anxious or I guess antsy energy about her, Hish is almost like the complete opposite. Like he seems to be moving a lot slower than he normally does, not quite with as much purpose. And I think he spends, if he's not doing either anything with Ollie or on the ship itself, I think he's sort of doing the same thing but with a much different energy. He has a chair up on the deck, and I think he just sits with his feet up on the railing and stares out at the horizon, and he grows a beard.
Okay. I like it. And one of the nights that you are a bearded Hish looking out onto the horizon, as you guys sail southward, Talia will come up and actually sit next to you. And just say, has everything been all right with you? I mean, like, I'm not exactly used to seeing you in your, and she motions to the ship, natural habitat. But you don't seem... There's a gusto that's missing. Your quick turns on your heels are more of a roundabout turn now. And don't get me wrong, I like the beard. I didn't picture you... Ever since we went to that city that was so full of fog, you've been acting a little withdrawn.
I'm all right. Just taking a much needed break.
She gives you a very, like, pierce through to the very core of your essence gaze as you say that you're all right.
Yeah.
And she just looks at you and says, Hish.
I'm getting up there in years, you know. Can't quite turn as precisely as I used to. You know, the hearing's going, the eyes are going, I'm slowing down.
She looks around to make sure that Ollie's not around. Bullshit.
This will be my last Christmas with you kids.
No. I don't believe that for a minute. If the sea has tried to take you away from us for however many years, and it's been unsuccessful in doing so, I don't imagine that there is a being in the world that could take you away from what you actually want to do. So no, I'm going to call it on you right now. I don't believe that this is you slowing down. We've been out here for maybe a month and a half. What happened to all of this? Oh, I can't wait to sail on the ship for a year with the boy. And I see that you two are having a good time, but... Did something happen?
Not specifically.
She gives you a knowing look.
What?
Not specifically means that something did.
It's fine, and it's not your problem, and you have plenty of other things to worry about. I'm fine.
And she stands up and she says, you know, if you don't want to talk about it, you can just say that you don't want to talk about it, and I would accept that.
You're right.
I'm not one of your crew members. I am just on this ship. I don't have many responsibilities. I don't have many things to do. So I've been noticing. That's what I've been doing. But if you don't want to talk about it, that's also fine. And she goes to begin walking away.
Yeah, I don't think he stops her. I think just as she's walking away, he says, I'm just not ready to talk about it.
And she
Thank you.
says, now that wasn't so hard.
No, it wasn't.
Take care of yourself. And if you want, I can let you borrow a pair of scissors to kind of tame it up a little bit. It's not that I don't like it. It looks rather dashing, but there are a few scraggles that are coming out a little bit longer than other sides.
Yeah, I'll fix it up.
And she says before heading down, "Good night, Captain."
Good night.
And that is where she will leave you.
There is something I thought of that I want to do.
Okay.
I think Jill is like sitting out on the deck of the ship one night. I think, and I think some time has passed. Like, I think it's been like weeks since she's really looked at her journal. I think maybe she's like even like got up in the crow's nest or something and is just kind of like sitting. But she's brought her journal with her, and she flips it open. Has anything new been written in there since she last opened it?
Since you last opened it, there is a... It is again not written in your hand. It is written in what you recognize now to be Tharsden's hand. But it is a continuation of the last chain that was broken. And you described how the area of the Anarok Desert where there was a oasis that sprung out. You see that this continuation describes a group of nomadic people that have since discovered this oasis and begun setting up a small camp of sorts. And it seems like that this wellspring of life in an otherwise desolate place has actually caused a small grouping to actually appear there of people who are willing to settle down. And it seems like there is good that has occurred during this time. And then the last line of that addendum says, I told you it would be fine. And then it looks like there is a little smiling face that has been drawn.
It's a good story. I like the parts you added.
Are you writing that into the journal?
Mm-hmm.
And it says, I didn't add these. This is what's happening.
Funny how that works. And I think she'll just like let the pen trail off for a second. And then she'll write, who is Skothka?
And the follow-up says, one of my many followers. They too were given abilities, but they did not use them as well as you have.
What abilities like mine?
Close. But they cannot write. Their vision is skewed. Their mind addled. They were not ready to receive me when they did.
So what happened to them?
Imagine spending an eternity believing in something that, upon its discovery, made you change your outlook. What Skothka is, it is ingrained into every cell of its being that things such as myself are the enemy. I am not an enemy, Jill. And Skothka learned this. But his body was not ready to receive this truth. I have given them an opportunity. But they are not listening.
And how does this make you feel?
And there is a pause in the response. At the risk of sounding abrupt, what do you mean? I have not been asked this question in a very long time, and I want to be assured that we are on the same page. And then a follow-up, get it? Page?
I think she just kind of like smiles in spite of herself. No, I get it. Haha, that was a good one. So I guess what I mean is, it's hard to describe it using vernacular you would be more familiar with. I guess he's not or they're not listening. Does this make you frustrated? Annoyed? How do you feel about this? What does this please you?
This is the opposite of pleasing. This is irritable. This is displeasure. To bear gifts so freely and with asking so little in return. To have one assume that they know what I want, even when I have been very clear. That is frustrating. I have asked for very straightforward requests, I believe. The same thing I have asked of you. Break these chains. And you have done so. You've done so very well. I asked Skothka the same thing. And he believes that he is doing my will. That is incorrect. Skothka is performing what he believes to be my will.
the people of Moran in danger?
And the response is, they are at risk.
Insight check?
Sure. Totally insight check Tharsden, the Chained Oblivion.
26.
Okay, with a 26, Tharsden's concept of danger is much different than a mortal's concept of danger would be. But by admitting that there is risk involved with Skothga's presence in Moran, you feel like Tharsden is agreeing with what you are assuming.
Okay.
The ones you care about are in Moran.
Yes.
They will not be harmed, as per our agreement.
I know. But if anything were to happen to Skothga, would you have any objections?
To risk falling upon the words that you would use, false prophet? I have no objection. Skothga was told, just as you were, exactly what I wanted. Skothga has failed to deliver what I have wanted, and instead is going about their own means. I care not for this Skothga.
Who do you care for?
Why isn't it obvious, Jilfa'en Lyrandar? I care for you. You who have been so crucial in removing the cruxes that bind me. How would it be that I could not care for you? Were my affections not clear?
Is that the only reason why?
Why what?
Nothing. It's... never mind.
And as you say, it's nothing, never mind. The follow-up is... You have been given a gift, an ability. When I met you, you came to me seeking freedom. I too seek freedom. What I see in you is a kindred spirit. An individual who does not wish to be bound, but rather to make their own destiny. And so I care for you. And I provide you with abilities as best I can.
Is that why? And then she'll stop. And then just take the pen and just scratch through that. And we'll just write, okay.
And the response that you get is, would you prefer I visit you again?
If you're free.
And the response that you get is, for you, always. For you make me free.
I think she closes the journal and just kind of like looks at it and just kind of like holds it against her chest.
Later that evening, you definitely have a Tharsden dream. It is of a rocky outcropping staring out over the sea. And this specific location is the same rocky outcropping that you used to go to when you were a child to stare out at the open ocean. And you are sitting on a bench. Tharsden is sitting next to you. They have 2 cups of coffee. One for you, one for them. And it is just the 2 of you enjoying a scenic view.
That's it?
It goes as far as Jill wishes for it to go.
No, I just want to see if he has like any sort of like, he doesn't ask anything of me. He's just there.
He's just there. At one point, he puts his arm around you as a strong breeze rolls by. And he just sides up next to you, and he will put his head against yours. And he feels warm. And he will say, when you asked me to protect you and those that you care about, this is a place I will bring you to.
Do you know what this place means to me?
And he kind of looks down at you as, again, his arm is around you. And he says, no. But would you like to tell me?
I just, I came here a lot as a child. It was very, it was nice. It was a place where I can enjoy the sea in solitude. Back whenever I didn't have other things to worry about. And I still loved the ocean freely.
And Tharsden puts his hand over your left hand, the hand that has the spiral upon it. And you feel that spiral begin to warm with a comfortable heat. And he says, "Then it shall be yours."
Yeah. She just smiles.
He will lean in and give you a smooch again.
Heck yeah.
And again, this dream date with Tharsden goes as far as Jill wants it to go. Tharsden's just interested in spending time.
Okay.
Nice. So, continuing on through your travels, it is roughly about a month and a half into your journey, and as you are staring off, going southbound, both Jill and Hish, the two of you see that there are dark clouds on the horizon, and you are sailing directly towards them. There is no way to escape this ominous looming cloud, as it seems to span the horizon, and you know that you can either drop your anchor here, or at least closer to the shore, and then try and stave off through the storm, or you can try and navigate through it. What would you guys like to do during this time?
Hish, do you want my professional judgment on this one?
I'll take it.
I strongly advise not getting caught up in any storms.
I think we're going to get caught up in it anyway. It's just a matter of whether we can weather it here or if we can navigate it.
I think it would be better not to press on.
We're going to lose a lot of time. Are you okay with that?
If it means we can get there safely, I know who controls these storms, and I do not want to tangle with her.
Gotcha.
But that's just my bias, and I defer to your judgment.
No, I appreciate your insight. Anybody else have any thoughts? All right. We'll wait it out.
Okay.
I think that's a good call.
And as you get closer to the shore, get to a spot where you can throw down your anchor and actually rest for a bit, this storm continues to encroach. And as the clouds roll over, the entire sky is just filled with rolling, darkened clouds that look like they are getting ready to break with rain at any point. And off in the distance, you hear the rolling of thunder. And that thunder begins to get closer. And through sheets of rain that you can see approaching, you begin to see lightning striking down and touching onto the ocean as it does. And through this rain and through the clouds and through the lightning, you begin to see what looks like a form of a large winged creature. And it looks like it is made of almost pure electricity, as it seems to hop from cloud to cloud, just appearing off in the distance. And Ulman, as the rain is coming down in sheets and you can hear the rumbling of thunder, you get a sense to look out of the window, and everyone on the deck of this ship sees this as well. But through these incredibly dark clouds, you see two openings that are twin in nature, appearing almost directly above you through the clouds. And looking back, there are what appears to be a sea of seafoam green coming through. And Ulman, you hear in your very core of being, I gave you a choice. And you threw that choice as an empty message into the sea. And that is where we are going to call it for tonight's session.
That's the bitch.
No, fuck me.
That's the fucking bitch.
So, I know it is a little bit early, but it seemed like a good stopping point for tonight's
what a good
session.
tension spot.
Yeah, so I would like to say thank you to everybody who decided to stop on by. Thank you to these players for putting up with my bullshit once again. Hey, Dingo, where can we find you? What do you do?
You can find me on Twitter at WheresMyDingus. Tuesdays, you can find me on Off the Table playing Alas for the Awful Sea with KyleWithAnN. Nope, don't do anything on Wednesdays still. Thursdays, obviously, you can find me here. And Fridays, tomorrow, you're going to find me on Tales from the Grim playing Monster of the Week, Samhain. It's our series finale. And then every other Friday, you're going to find me on Off the Table playing Tales from Thersha at some point. It is coming back eventually. And that's it.
What's up? It's your boy Reeves. You can find me on Twitter or on Twitch at Reeves_bot. On Thursdays, I'm here on Steven's channel, playing some great games of Saltmarsh, where, some people come back to talk to us, and, maybe I'm gonna be as accusatory towards them as they are towards me. You bitch. And on Sundays, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I am playing some games with my pals. Super Salty Brothers Super Sunday Show. We're currently played some Armello last week, some For the King before that. Having a great time,
Hi!
I'm Cyber. You can find me on Cyberwolf1. I shitpost like how it took me way too long to realize Mike Myers and Michael Myers were not the same person. I also tweet about whenever I go live on twitch.tv/Cyberwolf1, where I play video games real badly every Saturday and try to talk about lore and world building and stuff. We're playing through Castlevania Lords of Shadows right now, and now that I'm done killing werewolves, which hurt my heart, we're gonna hunt some vampires, so that's gonna be cool. All the archives of that go to YouTube, youtube.com/Cyberwolf1, where you can also find the podcast that KyleWithAnN I do called Let's Talk About It, where we get drunk, do parkour, and talk about stuff going on in our games and the greater RPG world. You can also find some D&D Beyond homebrew tutorials, maybe more soon. I don't know. Yeah, other RPG stuff. I'm on DM's Guild. I do a Patreon where I do Taldori conversions. I'm here on Mondays playing Arjan, the Dragonborn. And I'm here on Saltmarsh playing this hot mess. Starting, is it next week? Yeah, next weekend. I'm going to be in a 5th edition Taldori game on twitch.tv/ProRestarter with KyleWithAnN. So, hey, that'll be cool. I think that's it. DenateKinger.com.
Hello, everyone. I'm playing the field, also known as Kylan, also known as KyleWithAnN on Twitter and Twitch, and I am killing indoor. Like he is killing me. You can find me playing video games on my Twitch, and on my Twitter, you can see what projects I'm in. Most all of them have already been shouted out by my castmates. So hey, one that you haven't heard of is Cape Lorelei. It's an off the table Urban Shadows actual play podcast in which I play a very mean-spirited and vain fae. So if you want to put that in your ear holes, check it out. Spotify, iTunes, Bandcamp. And yeah. Smooch.
Hello, everybody. If you've made it this far, you probably already know who I am. But if you don't, hey, fella, what's up? It's me, your buddy, your pal, your friend, the Indoor Adventurer, the showrunner here at twitch.tv/Indoor Adventures. We do shows like this Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If this is your first time joining us, consider going to youtube.com/Indoor Adventures to catch up on all of the VODs, or go to anywhere where podcasts are available for free. You can also find us under the same moniker. Right now, I would like to say the giveaway is over. We've done it. I know who won, so I will announce the winners here and now. So,
Do it.
for the drum roll, our first winner is, for this Descent into Avernus book, and for these dice, our dear friend Clegane. Clegane, you have been a friend of us ever since Reeves and I were doing Never Wednesdays. You were a sugar daddy that gave us a bunch of items when we didn't deserve it, and I appreciate you. And guess what? You won! You won this stuff! Congratulations! I'll be contacting you later to get your address, or at least a location that you are comfortable sending it to, having this sent to. It could be a P.O. box. It doesn't matter to me. Just tell me where I can get this stuff out of my house and in your hands. Now, hey, our second winner is going to be receiving this Tyranny of Dragons book. It's got all sorts of wonderful Tiamat imagery on the front, some excellent symbols of the Queen on the back, even some excellent draconic script. And do you want to all know who won this one? They were in chat earlier. They were having a rough day, but we made them feel better. I'm sorry that they left, but you're going to be feeling even better after you found out that you won Nefarious Obituary. You are the winner of the Tyranny of Dragons Collector's Edition set. I will be contacting you here shortly with your shipping address. I think I might still have it. I feel like you've won something on this channel before. If not... Oh, no, it was, they won the pin that Cyber you were giving away. So congratulations, Nefarious. You're a super winner.
Lucky guy.
What a lucky boy. And we are, again, I would like to say thank you to everybody who decided to help join us for this giveaway. It was super cool to see. We've gotten, 50 new followers since we started doing it, so I'm sorry to everybody who didn't end up winning, but hey, consider all of the videos that you were going to be reminded of that we're streaming every week as its own separate prize! But the prize for us is, of course, going to be on our Patreon at patreon.com/Indoor Adventures, where we are going to be going into our after show. So once again, I would like to say thank you to everybody who decided to stop on by. Thank you to Nefarious and Clegane for being excellent and winning at randomized contests. And we will see you guys shortly. All right, everybody. Bye-bye. I think I hit a button correctly. I didn't. We're still here. Bye, everybody.